Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Inside Track, Equibase's weekly handicapping podcast, sponsored by FanDuel Racing, where we give our analysis, picks, and wagers for a couple of the weekend's top races. Be sure to download that FanDuel app today and bet today. So I'm your host, Ben Kudla, and today I welcome back Equibase's national racing analyst, Ellis, Starr, on the show to break down and give his picks and a couple stakes races at Thistledown, as well as a stacked grade 2 on Saturday night at Churchill. Please follow Ellis on X at UberCapper. Check out his handicapping blogs and articles at Keeneland.com, SantaAnita.com, ABR, Amwager, and more. Ellis, it's always great to have you on the show. Your handicapping insights are invaluable, and I know we do it every day, but I do love talking horses with you. So thanks for being on.
Yeah, no, it's just nothing more fun than the days that we're both in the office sitting there and chatting about stuff and theory. And of course, what's the old saying is, I like not the Bobby, excuse me, not the Bobby Knight saying, but I'll try and teach as much as I can. You know a lot already, which is really good. But I was thinking during the intro, I need to get me a pair of drumsticks because that's just really
I know, doesn't it? It just jazzes you up. It just gets you in the mood. Let's get some handicapping rolls. That's what we're all about. So we do have a couple Thistledown races. Very fantastic card on Saturday up there in Northern Ohio. So I figured, try to get some insight from someone like yourself. So Thistledown kind of compared to Santa Anita, Keeneland, Churchill, it's not as big time. When you have these graded stakes races at smaller tracks, what's your usual strategy? I mean, do you value the hometown heroes who know the track? Do you like the big name domestic shippers coming in? What's your usual findings in these types of races?
Well, yeah, for the most part, there's some great races at Prairie Meadows, and they run Cornhusker weekend, in Iowa, and also Canterbury. There's not other ones that do some fantastic races on certain days. Normally you'd think class, Thistledown being a B level track, the horses shipping in that have been facing tougher company are going to be better. There is a case to be made about horses that just love the track and love to run. And it's funny you mentioned that because when we cover these two races, the Lady Jacqueline and the Ohio Derby, I've got one of each. I've got one that is just loves the track and the out of town shippers just don't thrill me much. And the other one is, definitely horses shipping in that have been facing tougher. That's going to be in the boys race. So it does depend a lot, but you do have to look at these horses that run over the track and really like it. Sometimes there's a surface issue, not on turf as much, but on dirt, horses that may find one track more sandy or different they've been running on and throw in a clunker. And then, of course, you won't know about it until the trainer after the race will give an excuse and say, oh, the horse just didn't like that type of track.
Fair enough. Well, there's Ellis Starr throwing down some wisdom, but these are some fantastic races. And you know what? Let's just dive right in for some handicapping. Like you said, the Lady Jacqueline and the Grade 3 Ohio Derby at Thistledown, along with the Grade 2 Chicago Stakes at Churchill also on Saturday. But before we begin, Racelens is trusted by two NHC champions, Scott Coles in 2019, 2025 NHC champion Dan Piazza. Just a fantastic handicapping tool that Ellis and I are both avid users of. And we do have a special summer promotion going on. Get an annual Racelens subscription for just $699, originally $999, with code RLA699S. So I'm going to put that at the bottom of your screen. Put that code in at checkout, RLA699S. All right, here we go.
Now, I want to add that that is a great price for people, and we're getting signups all the time. And I know you don't want to say it, but John Piazza, Scott Coles, and this year's 34th place finisher. So
there it is.
Thanks to Racelens. Yeah, so a nice chunk of change for that. But yeah, great tool, great price, especially now coming up with Del Mar and Saratoga. It's a tool you want to have.
Yeah, completely customizable, race replays every race. You got your PPs, you can download them, customize completely, over 50,000 angles in there to kind of boost your handicapping. So definitely please check that out. And we do have free races every day for Racelens just to try out the product. So check that out on Equibase.com under the Racelens tab. But here we go. The Lady Jacqueline Stakes at Thistledown. Race 11 on Saturday's card. Mile and an eighth on the dirt for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was Misty Vale for trainer Mike Maker with Ramon Vasquez aboard. She romped by 8.5 lengths, odds of 1-1. But field at 8 on Saturday. So, Ellis, let's start us off. Who you got?
Well, it's not graded, but it's $250,000. So it really is. When you look at some of the races horses have been coming out of here, you'll see grade 3, for example, Where's My Ring and Just My Heels. That's a 200,000 or 250 race, about the same as this. Penmoir comes out of the DuPont on Preakness weekend, which is 125. So in terms of purse, this is pretty good. This is the race where I'm going to go with a local horse. I looked at the two favorites, Penmoir, who's a contender, and Where's My Ring at 9-5 and 2-1. And I looked at Candlelight Hours, and this is just an amazing mare. I went and I had to do my math twice to make sure I wasn't crazy. 13 wins, 9 seconds, 6 thirds, and 30 races. She's only been worse than third twice in 30 starts. You know, 600,000, and she is an Ohio bred. I get that, but she has won 3 times against open company, which means non-restricted, even though not stakes. But she hasn't run any stakes against open company. What I really like here is the stretch out from 6 furlongs to a mile and a 16th, and we'll show that sprint in a second. But the last 3 times she stretched out, she won a race at a mile 16th last May, a state bred stakes at Thistledown, second off a layoff. And she won a stakes race the year before in August, 6 furlongs to a mile and 1/8. Now here she is in the prep race, which is second after a long layoff of 9 months, and she's going to be the one horse. She's going to be the one horse here, and she's going to be coming up and just keeps digging and digging and digging. A great move from fourth to do this. It's a great prep to set her up to go long again. Ramjeet rode her for the first time, which is fine. And she just won, and she had a little bit left at the end. She opens at 12-1. I think that'll be reset a little bit. And she's been between 1-5 and 5-1 in her last few races, but she's definitely going to have value at 3 or 4-1. And her Equibase speed figures, her best is 89. That's a little lower than some of the two favorites in the race. But Where's My Ring last was a 94 when finishing 6th in the Shawnee, and Penmoir was a 90 when 4th in the DuPont. So they both come in off not great races, when Candlelight Hours is coming in off a win. So I have no knocks on her. She's 2 for 4 at 9 furlongs. Those both came at Thistledown, and they both were a stretch on the stretch out. Just a perfect setup for her. I'm going to box Candlelight Hours and Where's My Ring. I'm going to box Candlelight Hours and Penmoir, the 2 favorites, and a win bet on Candlelight Hours. And then I think for doubles, we'll get to the Ohio Derby in a minute, Ben, but I think for doubles, I'm just going to use Candlelight Hours here because I don't have a lot of value in the next race. Real quick about Where's My Ring. She did win the Gazelle at 9 furlongs last year as a 3-year-old at Aqueduct. She's only won 1 of 8 since. I think it was 8, maybe 7, which was an allowance race at Oaklawn. She can run well. Mike Smith comes in to ride. She doesn't have to. Penmoir, again, she won a 3rd-level allowance at Keeneland very powerfully before that, but that was with Lasix. She has to take Lasix off here, and her last 4 without Lasix have been 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 7th. So I got a feeling she might not be as good, but her best is good enough in Jose Ortiz rides. What do you think?
It was an interesting race, and unfortunately, I did go with a 2-1. Where's My Ring? But I promise, next race, I went all out for a 20-1. One thing on your, I know.
I'm waiting.
I'm excited to make my case. You haven't seen my picks yet, but for Candlelight Hours, by the way, that Elkhorn Oaks Incorporated, they're like leading owner by 10 million miles at Thistledown. They run a lot of homebreds and some very talented horses. But I went with Where's My Ring, 2024 Kentucky Oaks contender, second after the trainer switched to the Peter Miller barn, with Hall of Famer Mike Smith coming aboard. And like you said, he doesn't have to. Just an interesting twirling candy filly and kind of just a weird progression in races. Took her 4 starts to break her maiden, starting her career out at Santa Anita, and then breaks her maiden in the Grade 3 Gazelle by 4 1/4 lengths, earning a 105 Equibase speed figure at Aqueduct, beating Regulatory Risk and Gingin. Sorry, my notes all messed up there. But then goes into the Oaks after that, runs 10th by 18 lengths at odds of 11-1 to Horse of the Year, Torpedo Anna. Runs back in the Grade 1 Acorn a month later, runs 7th by 22 lengths to Torpedo Anna. And then comes back to try an AOC in a turf route at Del Mar and finishes 10th. Okay. And then goes into a dirt sprint, allowance optional at Santa Anita, runs 3rd. They finally put her back into a dirt route at Oaklawn and just runs off by 12 1/4 lengths, earns a career best 116 Equibase speed figure. Then runs in the Grade 1 Apple Blossom, runs 3rd to none other than Torpedo Anna. Last time out, disappointing run as the favorite in that grade 3 Shawnee, laying on the inside most of the race, started going backwards near the quarter pole and had a little bit of a rally to finish 6th, but I didn't really see any excuse in there. She was entered, oddly enough, in both the grade 1 Gamely and the grade 2 Santa Margarita Stakes that week, but they opted to run at Churchill instead. But she definitely had a bad race last time out, but that level of competition she has been facing, it's going to just be starkly different than anyone she's really ever run against. Ranked first in early and middle pace, ranked first in average speed with the 90, ranked first in average class with the 99. Mike Smith has just 85 starts this year in total. So the fact he's willing to travel to Ohio for a couple rides is a pretty good sign. And Miller and Smith don't really team up very often. They haven't had a single start in 2025. And their last start together was on September 2nd, 2024. In the past 3 years, they just have 12 starts together with 2 wins. So hoping to get a little better price than 2-1 with the public looking at the Shawnee, but I do think she's going to come back in a big way and run a really big race. I do have an 8-1 in second. All right, so the number 3 Red Hot Lass. I kind of went with the Ellis type of strategy here.
Yeah.
A tough 7-year-old mare, very tough, by Texas Red, who's bought for $11K as a yearling. That was over $324,000 in earnings, mainly running at Thistledown after she was claimed at Turfway 3 years ago by trainer Jeffrey Scarrett. Hometown hero type connections. Jeffrey Scarrett, jockey Jose Bracho being regulars at Thistledown. Actually ran second in this race last year to Batten Down. She mainly runs in sprint races, but she's excellent at 2-turn races. In her last 4 starts that were 2 turns, she has 3 wins and a second in last year's Lady Jacqueline. And she's won those other 3 starts by a combined 13.5 lengths going 2 turns. So she's got 6 wins and 3 seconds and a third from 13 starts at Thistle. Definitely not the fastest of the bunch on paper, but I do think she'll run well at this 2-turn mile. And I had to add in this Pegnor in here, morning line of 9-5, which I honestly don't understand. But in the past 3 years, Brissett wins at 42% in all races. When sending out the post-time favorite, 48 wins from 114 starts, 75% in the money with, but actually a positive 2% return on investment. This horse ranks second in average class with a 95, second in average speed with an 88, licensed distance, 2 wins and 4 seconds, going a mile and an eighth. Bit of a disappointing finish last time out in that Alaire DuPont distaff at Pimlico on the Friday before the Preakness, faded back to finish 4th by 6 1/4. But 2 starts back, just absolutely romped by 7 1/4 in allowance race at Keeneland in April, earning a career best 102. Equibase speed figure. Definitely, I think, will be forwardly placed in here. Might even try to steal it on the front end. And also, Ortiz and Brissett don't have a lot of starts together in the past 5 years. They have 4 wins from 11 starts, So take that as what you will, 36%, but just from 11 starts. So looks like a talented filly, but I just don't understand the 9-5 morning line, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, it's the shippers. It's people looking at the horses that have been running at Churchill and Pimlico versus Thistledown. That's going to be, and also their best races. She was second in the Wayward Lass, Penoir. She was third in the Trevista, and then that allowance race. 4th in the DuPont was okay. Not great. I do like your angle on Red at Last because another fill. Look at this, 24 for 32 in the money, 10 for 13 at Thistledown. She did run second, you just said, last year. She was 13-1 that day. I'm gonna actually add another exacta box. Thank you. 5-3 exacta box to my 5-6-5-7.
This is what the inside track is all about. I love it. So I think for my daily double, I'm gonna go just add in Where's My Ring and Red Hot Lass, and got a lot of value this next race. So I'm excited to make my case for that. But let's move on to the grade 3 Ohio Derby, race 12 at Thistle on Saturday's card. Mile and an eighth on the dirt for 3-year-olds. Some memorable horses I've actually won this race in the past. Skip Away way back in the day. Caleb's Posse won this race. Mr. Z, IRAP, 2 fills. So last year's winner was Batten Down for trainer Bill Mott with Junior Alvarado aboard. Batten Down is the 5th foal out of Judd Mott's Eclipse Award champion. Older mare and 5-time grade 1 winner, Close Hatches. But field of 10 on Saturday at Thistle, the 2025 Kentucky Derby contender and a 2025 Preakness contender entered in here. So who are you going with for your second leg of this daily double?
Well, speaking of Batten Down, so he won the race wire to wire, which has been a little unusual for this. But in this race, I looked at the pace, and there are horses with early speed. Moplex on the outside, last ran 7 furlongs. He won the Bayshore. Master Controller went wire to wire at 6.5, but they have the 9 and 10. And Clever Again's got the 6. And if I remember correctly, I think I had Clever Again as one of my top Preakness contenders. And he made the lead, but he had the outside post. He got pressed really hard early, and he just put down an anchor and finished last of 9. Before that, in the hot springs, he went wire to wire. And considering he's got the 6 and the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 have never shown any desire to lead at all, and none are stretching out, none are stretching out. Clever Again seems pretty likely to get the lead, and that puts a position where, if you think about the pace of a race, you imagine what Chris Amey on Master Controller and what Joe Ramos on Moplex are going to do. They're going to have to take back. And that puts the horses a little bit out, and they can press, but they're not as good as Clever Again, because that 108 Equibase speed figure from the hot springs breaks is just dynamite. And I'm not worried about 9 furlongs because he's an American Pharaoh. I think, again, he can beat the other 2 to the lead easily. So I think he can repeat the hot springs as a 108, and that is the best figure by any horse in the field ever. And it looks very tough to beat. Now, he is a 9-5 favorite, which is one reason why for the doubles from race 11, I'm only using Candlelight Hours, because I don't want to use 12-1. I don't want to use the 9-5 and the 2-1 Penoir with Clever Again at 9-5. No value. So just that one. But Clever Again. Now, McAfee's interesting, and he's the 3-1 second choice. He won't be. I think he'll be 2-1, because everybody's going to see the good effort in the Peter Pan behind Hill Road, in which he actually made the lead late in the race. So we're going to watch that here. We're going to pick it up at about the 120 mark, and he's number 5. And you'll see he's just starting to move now. What's really interesting is Hill Road comes from way back here. Maybe McAfee moved too early. I'm not sure. I mean, Johnny V, knew what he needed to do here, and he thought he had, there's a huge margin back. But McAfee is fighting with Captain Cook at this point, 7-5 favorite. And you can see Hill Road is just starting to get in gear. McAfee's kind of, I'd say he's lumbering, but he's kind of grinding here. And I don't know if he got bumped, but he's still lightly raced. It was his 3rd race of the year, 5th career start, and Hill Road's just going to run by, but he's got his head in front of Captain Cook here. So he ran a winning race in defeat until just about the point where Hill Road passed him. He got a 98. He's on parallel to improve nicely. Don't know that he gets to 108 and Clever Again if he controls the pace. However, if I'm wrong and Master Controller and or Moplex go with Clever Again, it really does set up McAfee nicely. And for those that don't know, there's no problem with him getting 9 furlongs, not only because he was second with Peter Pan, but because he's by Sataves, who is the dam of Torpedo Anna, who won 4 9-furlong races last year on the way to being Horse of the Year. The other one's Chunk of Gold, who's coming out of the Kentucky Derby, the only horse to race coming out of the Derby, and that's where you asked me at the beginning about Thistledown horses shipping in. The Kentucky Derby, it's grade 1. Preakness also grade 1, so Clever Again and McAfee are the 2 horses with the class edge, depending how good they are. And Chunk of Gold ran admirably well in the Risen Star to Magnitude, who, of course, was off the trail after that big 10-length win with a huge figure. And then he ran second Louisiana Derby with a career best 96 figure behind Tastic. And then the Derby, he was just, again, his first 2 are all weather. Then he ran on dirt. So he didn't have enough experience. He moved up 8th to 6th and just kind of petered out and finished 9th. On that sloppy track. He's dam produced Band of Gold, who won the Martha Washington as a 3-year-old, won $250,000. So he can definitely get a mile on an 8. He's 7-2. Not a lot of value for a win bet, though. And then for a price, I want to throw in the 3 Capo Luca at 10-1. This is my kind of local horse angle that you have. 4 for 12, no seconds, a couple thirds. Won a allowance race at a mile at Thistledown on June 11th. At 5-1, opens at 10-1 here, and legitimately so, because the horse was originally claimed for $30,000 out of a maiden claiming race, but won 3 in a row at Thistledown. You can't knock that at all. So my play in the race for exactas, believe it or not, I'm going to bet Clever Again at 3-2 as low odds overlay, but my play in the race is to play Clever Again the 6 over the 3 Capo Luca, and then play Chunk of Gold, McAfee, and Clever Again over Capo Luca again, just to have that exacta, Clever Again and Capo Luca twice. That's just a mess around bet for the exacta. But I think Clever Again controls it. I don't know if you agree. I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, I guess, I'll start with Clever Again. I mean, just how interesting was that in the Preakness? And I'm sure many of you out there listening have listened to Steve Asmussen's words on that, and maybe he does have a little bit of PSD, meaning Clever Again. So it'll be interesting how that horse comes back. But I went a little different route for my big 20-1. I'm going to go with Master Controller on the outside.
Okay.
Seems a bit illogical. Okay, I understand, but
No.
I will make my case. So, Temperature Colt for Brittany Vandenberg's first career start at Thistledown with her husband Chris Amy aboard. Started his career on the turf, Kentucky Downs. Did not take to that surface. Came to Keeneland to run in the maiden special weight, going 7 furlongs in the dirt. Runs 8th by 8 lengths last October. Odds at 39-1. Comes to Churchill in November to run in the maiden special weight, going a mile and 16th on the dirt. Finishes 5th at odds of 84-1. Takes an almost 7-month layoff to come back on May 24th. Wins 100,000 maiden claimer by a length after getting bumped, and earns a 98 Equibase speed figure. So, yeah, the running lines aren't amazing besides that last race, and he could seemingly be only a front runner, but I still don't think we know yet. But he's just working really, really well at that Churchill training track, coming off a bullet work on June 14th, going 4 furlongs at 47-4, and a couple bullets right before his last race. Even though he did lose in his first start, going 2 turns, I'm glad he has that experience at least, and coming second off this layoff is a huge plus. So here are the stats of why I'm going for it. So even with just a win in a maiden claiming race, with grade 1 caliber horses in here, a Derby horse, a Preakness horse, Master Controller is ranked first in late pace rating. I don't know. That is really interesting. Brittany Vandenberg, past 3 years with domestic shippers in dirt route, she wins at 36%, 14 wins from 39 starts, 56% in the money, plus 28% return on investment. If you add in that second off the layoff to that stat, she wins at 57%, 4 wins from 7 starts. So, take that as you will. But I just think it's just a really interesting horse. I couldn't land on anyone really, the big hitters in here. Clever Again's a huge question mark to me, even though I think that's probably the clear winner. But I think this is a type of race for me that I'm willing to take the 20-1, and I'll back it up with some doubles. With Clever Again, a talented American Pharaoh colt coming off that brutal stretch. I ran second on career debut and made a special weight at Keeneland, going 4.5. Lost a horse named Dream Away, just trained by Wesley Ward, who came back next time out to win the Jacqueline Stakes by 5 1/4 lengths. Takes a 6-month layoff after that, breaks his man in Oaklawn by 3 1/4, going 2 turns for the first time, earning 100 Equibase speed figure. About a month later in March, runs off in the Hot Springs Stakes to win by 4 lengths, and then gets slammed in the rail, took him out of the race in the Preakness. I just think we have yet to see the full potential of this horse, and there's a lot of it. I mean, ranked first in here in average speed with the 90, first in average class, the 97, but just a big question mark if he's going to be able to come out of that Preakness okay. And third, I kind of went with you, Chunk of Gold. Could be dangerous coming in here off this bid in the Derby. Scratched out of the grade 3 Matt Wynn a couple weeks ago to run in here for trainer Ethan West, who's been on a tear, by the way. Last month, he's winning at 40%. And yesterday, he hit a really nice first-time starter. Moon Mystique, just 24-1. Stole it on the front end, little Malibu Moon filly. But Chunk of Gold, this was my original pick. But after watching some more race replays where I really focused on him, I decided to go a different direction. Broke his maiden at Turfway on the all-weather, going 6 furlongs back in December. Comes right back a month later to run second in the Leonada Stakes at Turfway, regressing a bit to an 88. Heads down to Fairgrounds for the winner. Runs a solid second in the mile and 8th grade 2 risen Starr to magnitude, like you said. Picked up some Derby points and then ran in the grade 2 Louisiana Derby, finishing second by 2 1/4 lengths. Statistic. What I didn't like, he was tiring at the end, and he held for second. But, that was also a mile and 3/16. Runs 9th in the Derby, clipped heels shortly after the start. So will it be interesting to see how he returns. Loves to run second. But honestly, the more you look at him, all he's wanted is a maiden auction. That's it. So I'll put him in exotics, but I just don't see him in the winner's circle. So.
Well, you're picking a 21 shot, and I'll never talk you off it. And if, there's a case to be made, if Master Controller, who's coming out of the sprint, beats Clever Again to the lead, then Clever Again's in a position where he's never been before, because he's never really been second or third after the quarter mile, and Moplex also. So you've got a chance to control the pace with him. And again, just going back long time before that, but batting down last year was wire to wire. So it has been known to happen.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna go. I'm sticking with that 21. But for my doubles, I'll go with the 9-6-2. Back it up with Clever Again and Chunk of Gold. But last but not least, Grade 2 Chicago Stakes at Churchill on Saturday. I remember watching this race as a kid every 4th of July at Arlington back in the day. But anyway, it's now at Churchill. 7 furlongs on the dirt for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up. Last year's winner was Vava for trainer Sherry DeVaw with Irad Ortiz Jr. aboard. Vava is back on Saturday to try and defend her title. Absolute fantastic field of 11 for the Downs After Dark card. You and I will both be on vacation, but I know that people love Downs After Dark, including myself. So absolutely fantastic field of 11. So who's your final play for the final race of the episode?
I'm just seeing the odds finally came out. So
oh, good.
So it's interesting. Emery's the 5-2 favorite. I'll just say that now.
Okay.
Vava's the 3-1 second choice.
Wow.
My Main Squeeze is 5. Zeitlos is 8. Claret Beret is 6, and everybody else is 10 or more. So that's really interesting. So yeah. I looked at this race a lot of ways, and I really don't like taking sprinters on the rail at 7 furlongs, but Emery's probably good enough to do it. I mean, she just loves to win races. She's 5 for 10 in her career with 3 seconds. She's 0 for 3 this year with 2 seconds, but those were by a neck to Mystic Lake in the inside information at grade 2 like this, and then second to Positano Sunset in the Madison at grade 1, and then the sloppy race on the Derby City Distaff where she finished 5th of 10. I'm going to toss it because that was a different sloppy than most sloppy. She had run second in the mud in the test last year at 7 furlongs as well. Drew gets on for Cox. It's interesting because he's one of the main riders, but he hasn't ridden her before. Yeah. But I'm looking back last year in June when she won the Leslie's Lady when she was facing 3-year-olds only at 7 furlongs at Churchill. And she just romped in that by 3. And then she won the Raven Run, again, a grade 2, just like this, at 7 furlongs last October to close out a 3-year-old campaign. Now, even though Emery did run 5th in the Derby City Distaff, that's actually turned out to be a key race already, because I'll start with the winners. The 3rd horse, Ways and Means, won the Bed of Roses. The 4th horse, Scylla, ran second in the Bed of Roses. The runner-up, Hope Road, and the 8th horse, who I don't remember, ran second and third in the Winning Colors. And the 9th finisher, whose name I didn't write down, unfortunately, won a stakes race. So very good race in which, the first 2, Coping hasn't come back, but Hope Road, Ways and Means, and Scylla's come back, and she was 5th in that race. So her race in January to April was a big effort in the Madison. When second, she made the lead. She had to battle head-and-head the whole way. She was still a length and quarter clear of My Main Squeeze. By the way, she's faced My Main Squeeze 3 times, Emery, and she's beaten her 3 times. And 5-2 might be square enough for me. I mean, it's definitely reasonable enough for me. The 11 Zeitlos gets a great post. Another. This is actually, if some of these, I would not be surprised if 3 or 4 of these Ben come back in the Philly Mare Sprint in Breeders' Cup, because this is that kind of field.
I can't believe Zeitlos. What did she say? 10-1?
No, I think it was 6. She is 8. I'm sorry, 8. Very close.
1.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great value.
Well, I think because I'll talk about Vav in a second, who might be a little suspect. But Zeitlos is 9 for 18, 4 for 6 at Churchill. She won the skip at Pimlico, non-graded. That doesn't matter because she was coming back from a 6.5-month layoff. Jose Ortiz gets off, Pratt gets on. That's fine. She did win back-to-back. That's very interesting to note. When she came back from a layoff last year in February, she won back-to-back, including the Carousel Stakes. And this year she won the skip at, and so now she's back-to-back. Aside from the Breeders' Cup and the Caress, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. 5 races in a row, including 3 stakes. She's very good. She may not be as good at 7, though. She's won at she ran third. She only run 7 furlongs twice. She ran third once, but her last race was really, really strong. So she's my second pick, and then My Main Squeeze. Even though, as I said, Emery's beat her 3 times, but she is 2 for 2 at Churchill. She was second to Emery in the Raven Run. The last 2 races are interesting, though, because she got within a neck. She led by a head at the top of the stretch in the Ruffian, and she was 4th, but a neck off the lead in a 4 wide with 3 other horses around her in the Madison. Both times she lost ground. But she gets a jockey change to Saez, who I think rides her better. He was aboard for her winning the 8 bells at this distance on Derby Day last year, Oaks Day last year, I should say.
And the Dogwood.
And the dogwood, correct. So she'll improve off that. So those three, and again, my main squeeze is a decent price. And then I'm going to throw in for exotics. I'm throwing in Pigale the 8 for Tom Drury. She's going to be. I think she was a really nice price. She's 12. She won off a November to May layoff. Second off a layoff. She won the Groupie Doll last year at Ellis Park at a mile, which is that weird mile that goes this way.
Right. Yeah.
So it's equivalent to the 7 furlongs. And she's a stakes winner. She's 5 for 7 first, second at Churchill. So I don't know exactly how I'm going to play it. Probably Emery or WinBet, and then Emery, my main squeeze, and Zeitlos over Emery, my main squeeze, Zeitlos and Pagale. I'm taking a stand against Vava real quick. People ask because I am happy that she is the 3-1 second choice, even though she's 6 for 16, 1.8 million. But Derby City Distaff was a 7th place effort on top of the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Sprint, where she was 7-2, ran 8th. The Ballerina, where she ran 3rd. She did win this race last year, but off a win the Derby City Distaff, which is a lot different form than she's coming in this race. I think she might be a little bit off form. I'm going to leave her off all my tickets.
I am also leaving her off all my tickets. She just looks tired. I know. Yeah. She gone. She just seems tired. And
yeah,
I don't know. And that's, what is that? A 7-month layoff from November to May?
Yeah.
And then you're going back into a grade 1. I mean, yeah, she's been working hard. But I'm going to go with the horse that your horse beat quite a bit.
That's all right.
I'm going to go with my main squeeze, a 4-year-old Autumn Mill filly for the Mike Maker barn. Like you said, Luis, back aboard, which is a huge plus in my mind.
Yep.
Ultra consistent filly, 13 from 15 in the money lifetime with 6 wins, 2 seconds, 5/3. Broke her maiden at Saratoga and main special weight going 4.5. Your second career start way back in September of 2023. Runs third in a listed stakes at Belmont at the Big 8 before winning 3 black type stakes in a row at Aqueduct. Graduates to run in her first graded stakes, finishing 8th in the grade 2 fantasy to Torpedo Anna. Skips to Oaks in 2024, which I thought was smart, and opts for the grade 2 8 bells. Churchill instead going 7 furlongs on a sloppy track and gets a really impressive win, edging away by 2 lengths, earning a 102. Equibase speed figure. Goes to that grade 1 Acorn in June of last year. Finishes 4th behind Torpedo Anna. I mean, no one was beating her during that time. Then runs in the grade 1 test and finishes 3rd behind your Emery. As the number 1 horse. I'm surprised, actually. She's a favorite. But anyway, runs second to Mystic Lake, who also beat Emery in a different race, but in the grade 2 Charlestown Oaks before finally returning to the winner's circle in that grade 3 Dogwood. At Churchill again, runs off at 5 lengths, earning a 102 Equibase speed figure. Stays on that Kentucky circuit to run at Keeneland, finishing 2nd by 2 lengths to Emery in the grade 2 Raven Run Stakes. Takes a long layoff all the way until April at Keeneland. On the grade 1 Madison, finishes a solid 3rd, again, behind Emery, who was in 2nd. Last time out, make her opts for the grade 2 Ruffian Stakes at BAQ after a stake scratch from the grade 1 Derby City Distaff. Runs very well, considering she clipped heels really bad. She was like almost out of the chute there, and she just like almost went down and hit her face. So I thought she finished really well, and she might have lost something in that. So, but back with Luis Saez. I love that. Back to her preferred distance of 7 furlongs, where she's 2 for 2, and it's kind of a weird distance. So, and it's not a route, it's not a sprint. So horses kind of have their niche there. But back to her preferred track, 2 for 2 at Churchill. Horses for courses, baby. The past 5 years. So Mike Maker and Saez win at 44% in graded stakes races at Churchill. 4 wins from 9 starts, but it is with 6 different horses. So I'll give it that. And they do win at 26% in the last 3 years in dirt sprints at Churchill as well. 15 wins from 57 starts, plus 24% return on investment. Actually, when I wrote this, I said, I don't have the morning line yet, but I think she'll be 3rd choice. So I guess I was correct. But I don't know. I think she's really improving, and she's gonna run really well coming off that last race where she had some trouble. So I'm willing to give her a pass. So just ultra consistent. I think she's back where she belongs, and yeah, I'm all in on my main squeeze.
I like the fact that she's 2 for 2 at Churchill, and both those wins were 7 furlong stakes races with Saez.
Yep.
I mean, it's a really strong pattern, so it's a good pick.
I appreciate it. And Zeitlos, I don't know why. Maybe because all the race lens numbers pointed. I thought Zeitlos was going to be favored over my main squeeze as a second choice, but I was wrong. 5-year-old mare by Curlin, Asmussen, Pratt, first time riding. Past 6 months, Pratt is winning at 25% first time riding from 307 starts with a race lens success score of 7.6. That's a pretty good wheelhouse. It goes up to 10. This mare loves to win. Lifetime record of 9 wins, 4 seconds, and a third from 18 starts. Just 4 wins in the second from 6 starts on the Churchill dirt. She is 0 for 2, like you said, the 7 furlong distance, but with a third's not bad, and it also is a Breeders' Cup race at 7 furlongs, so is what it is. But going into that Breeders' Cup, she was coming off consecutive stakes wins in the Open Mind Stakes at Churchill, beat Positano Sunset, who we just saw, maybe not just saw, but in April won the Grade 1 Madison Stakes Keeneland. Kind of exactly like that pattern you said, Open Mind to a Grade 2 Thoroughbred Club America Stakes to win. There you go. She has a win in a list, and she's coming in to another Grade 2. So you got a little pattern going. But after that, British Cup takes a 6-month layoff, comes back to win the skip at, like you said, ranks second, though, in late pace rating with a 104, like that. 3 increasing Equibase speed figures coming in here. So, outside post is a little bit tough, but that's going to be really tough. And arguably with the best jockey in North America right now, Flavian Pratt, which is always dangerous. Then Emery, like you said, beat my main squeeze quite a bit. Looks really tough. I just didn't like that race, last race, but gosh, she is so consistent, always first or second. So definitely going to have her in. And then Brad Cox and Florent Giroux, greatest stakes at Churchill. This is a bigger sample size. Over the past 3 years, they win 32% together. 11 wins from 34 starts, 65% in the money with a 10% return on investment. But the big question to me, which is why I didn't take her on top, is Emery the same horse as she was last summer or not? And if she is, then I think she'll easily run off. But that's kind of the big question for me. I just don't know. But
well, even if she is, there's a question of if it's always this case when you get really good horses, right? If Emery runs her best race, if My Main Squeeze runs her best race, and if Zeitlos wins her best race, who wins? The question mark with Zeitlos was 7 furlongs. Between Emery and My Main Squeeze, based on the morning line, now that I see it, if I redid my picks, I'd be putting My Main Squeeze on top as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, and yeah, interesting morning lines there. But Zeitlos, that's huge value. Jeez.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your Chicago Stakes picks. Well, thank you all so much for watching.
Wait, before we get, I want everybody to know that my friend, my colleague, Ben Kudla, will be having his nuptials this weekend, and I want to wish you a very great, dry, hopefully, wedding day and a great honeymoon. And I hope you have a great time. And it's been a pleasure to work with you. Will be continuing to be a pleasure to work with you, but I wanted to wish you well.
Well, thank you so much. It is. I have so much fun when you're in the office, and you teach me a lot. So thank you so much for that. But yeah, I will be on my honeymoon next week, so we won't have a show. But good luck in all your wagers this weekend on my wedding day, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.